The Enfield Poltergeist. In the quiet North London suburb of Enfield, on a cold August night in 1977, a single mother tucked her children into bed, unaware that their home was about to become the most documented haunting in British history. What began as knocking sounds in the walls, it was not loud. It was not violent. It was simply persistent. 3 knocks, a pause, then 3 more. At first, she thought it was the plumbing. Old houses make noises, she told herself. But when the knocking began to answer back, when it responded as if it were listening, fear took hold. That night marked the beginning of what would become one of the most famous and controversial paranormal cases in history, the Enfield Poltergeist. The woman was Peggy Hodgson, a divorced mother of 4 children struggling to make ends meet. Life had never been easy for her. She lived in a modest council house, surviving on welfare, doing everything she could to give her children some sense of stability. There was no luxury in that home, only routine, exhaustion, and resilience. Her children were Margaret, the eldest, quiet and observant; Janet, 11 years old, energetic and emotional; Johnny, curious and protective; and Billy, the youngest, still innocent enough to believe monsters only existed in stories. Nothing about their home suggested danger. Nothing about their lives suggested that the world would soon be watching them. The knocking returned the following nights. Then the beds began to shake. Drawers slid across the floor. A heavy chest of drawers moved across Janet and Johnny's bedroom, scraping loudly as if pushed by invisible hands. Peggy ran into the room and tried to shove it back into place. It slid away from her. Panicked, she called the neighbors, who witnessed objects moving on their own. The police were called, and one officer later filed an official report stating that she watched a chair slide across the floor without anyone touching it. From that moment on, the house no longer felt empty. It felt occupied. As the days passed, the activity intensified. Toys flew across rooms. Loud bangs echoed through the house at all hours of the day and night. The children were terrified. Peggy barely slept. And slowly, the strange activity began to focus on one child, Janet. She screamed in her sleep. She suffered violent convulsions. She was thrown from her bed with such force that witnesses later swore she had been lifted into the air. Then came the voice. It was deep, raspy, and unmistakably old. A voice that did not belong to an 11-year-old girl. The voice claimed to be a man named Bill Wilkins. It said he had lived in the house years earlier. It said he had died there. It said he was tired and angry and trapped. Janet spoke for hours at a time, her throat raw, her voice damaged. Doctors could not explain how she could produce such sounds without permanent injury. Investigators filled her mouth with water. The voice continued. They covered her mouth. The voice still came. Janet later said she remembered nothing afterward, only exhaustion, as if something else had taken control of her body. Word spread quickly. Journalists arrived. Photographers crowded the street. Skeptics mocked the family. Believers listened in silence. The Society for Psychical Research sent investigators Maurice Gross and Guy Lyon Playfair, both trained skeptics determined to uncover fraud if it existed. They stayed for months. They witnessed objects flying across rooms. They documented intelligent knocking that responded to questions. They watched Janet thrown from her bed. They installed cameras. Some events were caught. Others happened just out of frame. And sometimes, the children were caught exaggerating or faking incidents. The children later admitted it. But the investigators noted something unsettling. Many of the most dramatic events occurred when no one was watching. when there was no audience to impress. As media attention grew, pressure crushed the family. Peggy feared losing her children to social services. Neighbors avoided her. Headlines painted her as either a liar or a fool. She cried constantly. She barely slept. Yet she refused to leave the house. To her, abandoning it felt like admitting defeat to something she could not see, could not fight, and could not explain. She stayed night after night, listening to the sounds, comforting her children, holding her family together as the world argued over whether their suffering was real. By 1979, the activity began to weaken. The voice grew faint. The knocking slowed. The house fell quiet. There was no dramatic ending, no final revelation, no explanation that satisfied everyone. The haunting simply faded away. Life resumed, though it was never the same. Janet grew up and later admitted that some events were faked, but she maintained that something real also happened, something beyond her control. Peggy never changed her story. She never sought fame or money. She lived quietly until her death in 2003, still insisting that what happened in that house was not something she invented. Today, the Enfield Poltergeist remains one of the most investigated paranormal cases in history. Believers see proof of the supernatural. Skeptics see psychology, stress, and manipulation. The truth may lie somewhere in between. A struggling family under immense pressure, children reacting to fear and attention, and experiences that still defy simple explanation. Perhaps the most haunting part of the story is not the voice or the moving furniture, but the image of a mother standing alone in the dark, doubted by many, believed by few, doing everything she could to protect her children from something no one truly understood. Some houses fall silent. Some stories never do.